Steele from Dark Age Games, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new Dark Age faction coming out since we survived the apocalypse. So if you want to go ahead and take it.
As of the Mayan apocalypse that passed us up, apparently they got their math wrong. The Kukulkani is the name of our new Dark Age faction that we surprised the world with on Friday, December 21st. This is the first time that we as a company have done any individual factions as kind of part of a side release. So everything we've always done has been part of publications, part of larger books. And so this time around, we decided that as part of the Kukulkani family, which also does Ravage Magazine US, we included the all-encompassing rules for the Kukulkani as a removable booklet in our current issue that also came out in December, strangely enough, for Ravage Magazine. Issue number 5 is the centermost section is a removable booklet that allows you to then have your own kind of, like, I hate to use the term, but your own kind of codex, your own little army splat book that's got all the rules, everything, model stats, cool concept art, the fiction that ties them into the rest of the story. And once the models start showing up in January, people will start being able to put them on the table.
Okay. To dive right into the background of these guys. So how do they fit into the Dark Age universe?
The background of the Kukulkani kind of go hand in hand with two of our other factions. We'll start with how the Kukulkani were created. In Mayan mythology, there is a god, Kukulkan, that was a warrior god, and in a lot of old texts they talk about how the Mayan gods came from the heavens. Right. I'm sure they were meaning more spiritually, but we took it as more astrologically.
Right.
They came from the stars. And these gods collectively are called the Coatl, and the Coatl need life energy to survive. Everything, all of their advanced technology, their ships, their garage door openers, everything that they've got runs on living, or well, formerly living energy, energy that is taken from life. And one of the ways for them to do that is to get servant races to go out and wage slave-taking wars and sacrifice to them as gods. Mm-hmm. They trick these young people into believing we are godlike because technology, science, and so forth.
Right. And
one of these peoples that they got a hold of were a tribe of Mayans, specifically led by the Coatl god Kukulkan. He taught them how to go out and raid villages and raid their neighbors and take as many slaves and captives as possible and bring them back to the ziggurats to be sacrificed. And these sacrifices, using technology that is masked in a medieval way, you fill the batteries of the spaceships and eventually the bellies of the Coatl. And
right.
This is just the cycle that goes on. At some point in real Earth history, the Mayans just vanished. They just they stopped existing. And in our Dark Age history, the reason for that is because the batteries at the ziggurat ships, the Coatl were ready to move on. Their batteries were full. Everybody was no longer hungry, and said, "Okay, it's time to go." And one of the one that was in charge, Kukulkan at the time, said, "Well, I want to bring my people with." Mm-hmm. And so they sent the tribes out on a genocidal hunt for the rest of their own people to fill the holds of the ships, and then they took off.
Okay.
Out in the stars, the Coatl as a fleet runs around finding other planets filled with life to because when your fuel gauge gets low, you stop and get gas, and that's effectively what they're doing. They're stopping and getting gas at these various planets. And one of these planets that they stopped off at is ATTR, which is Samaria. Mm-hmm. That's the planet that Dark Age takes place on.
Okay.
This was about 10,000 years before the current timeline. Mm-hmm. When they got there, the only people that were there were the ancient Dragiri, the Altegran, which, if anyone knows Dark Age, the Dragiri have a slave and trueborn dichotomy that 10,000 years ago was reversed. The big guys were the dumb slaves, and the little guys were the Altegrans with that advanced technology, and they kept everybody in line. when the Kukulkani got to Samaria, they started immediately, trying to take slaves and reaping the Altegrans, who had the technology to fight back, and they fought back and actually fought them off the planet and said, "You can't come." They fought these advanced races. It was the first time the Kukulkani had ever really suffered a nosebleed, and so they end up leaving Samaria, and it's they be on their way. Fast forward the 10,000 some odd years to when eventually humans got to Samaria. Humans get to Samaria, and the corporations that populated the planet were trying to take it for everything that it was worth. Minerals, resources, land, whatever they could do. And one of the things that they found in their searches is one particular company that people might recognize if they read Devastation is Isuza Dynamics. Isuza Dynamics found some old left behind Kukulkani technology, including something that made them wonder how the functionality of turning life into energy. And suddenly they had these, humans have been looking for, eternal energy sources forever. Right. And so they found this stuff, and that was their bridge gap. We know how to do this now. We can make perpetual energy, except the other corporations might want to get in on this, so we can't tell them that we found it. We made it ourselves. We invented this thing, and they invented the entropic cell, which, if you read Devastation, that's what runs the core AI.
Right.
The robot faction that came out of Devastation is run by a giant, massive battery that runs on biofuel, which was reverse engineered from actually Kukulkani technology.
Okay.
When, after the cataclysm and after the abandonment of the planet, and when things really went south for Samaria, and the core AI eventually got turned back on, and it went into its replication mode and started expanding, the use of entropic cells, little does anyone know, gives off a particular energy signature. And so one of these Coatl warships, or one of these Coatl probes, goes by the planet and goes, "Wait a minute, that smells familiar."
Yeah.
And so they call a warship to the planet to take a look, and when they start searching around and go, "Wait, we don't have anybody on this planet right now. How is this possible?" So they go back and look through the historic records and realize that this is the site of their first real defeat. Okay. And so they put a crusade together to go and stomp the Altegrans, because they're using our technology. And when they hit the planet and find out not only that it's not the Altegrans that they remember, because it's these weird, reverse system, kind of low technology, magic wielding aliens calling themselves Dragiri. That's disappointing. We were hoping to come out and get revenge. Well, then I suppose we'll just be genocidal against the people that they turned into.
Okay.
All right. But then they also find out that the technology is being used by these soulless machines that don't really have anything to reap from in the first place, and it's anathema. They are, this is the worst idea ever. And so Kukulkan himself, who is not a fieldable model, he grabs his people, and they land on the planet and have started a spreading crusade, which is designed to stomp out the Dragiri, crush the core, but also you gotta, if they're ever going to take off again, they've got to refill their fuel tank. Right. So everyone else getting in the way is also going to get reaped. And that's where we are left off as far as the fluff of the story is the Kukulkani have just landed and have started to spread down out of their main warship, and are starting to hit everybody they possibly can.
Okay. And so how are these guys going to play in the game compared to the other factions?
It is possible for someone to play them just straightforward. You look at the numbers and go, okay, these guys can just beat face.
Okay.
They've got a couple of guys that have special abilities that, with a nice lucky die roll, you can just lop the head off of a big fella. They've got some magic that they tap into, technomancy, which isn't actually a true magic per se. They funnel life energy that they steal on the battlefield into technological devices, either in other models or off-board.